400 cases of people who wandered into the wilderness but never came back. Accounts of children, people
was a coyote,
vanishing,
dog, or
seemingly
else.
swallowed up by the many endless forests across America, or even later found in ways that defy logic.
An animal.
Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man.
She described the way that
like a man.
the creature moved as being unnatural.
You've had problems in the neighborhood
It looked
before?
like it was
Yeah, my dog was
uncomfortable
killed here
in its
just
own
recently.
feet.
I don't know what it was. So whatever it was that was standing out there. I'm out here looking through the window now and I don't see anything.
She
I don't want to go
believed
outside.
that what she was looking at
Jesus
was
Christ,
pure
you better...
evil.
Sure. Tia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9" up.
Do you see
The
him now,
cases of
sir?
about
Yes, I'm looking
100
right
people,
at him.
at least, who claim that they've been abducted
hang
by
on.
aliens.
He's
One
right.
of Dr. Matt's
Is he in your
patients,
yard,
Linda,
sir?
Yeah,
who says
God,
she
he's
has been
big.
Faded out,
abducted
like
since childhood.
reality. I was just
what I remember
being brought up this tunnel of light, right?
being
Out
around my
of
bed.
this tunnel, I
And I
just
ran between them
noticed
and ran
parts
out
of my
of the
life
room
that
into
wouldn't
my
even
mother's
occur to me to
room to
remember.
hide
Then I
from
knew
it.
that I
And
wasn't
I never
Emma,
told anybody
that I
about
was
that, and I just buried
close
it
to death.
in the back
And
of
so
my
then I
mind.
came to the
Me
end
and
of
my
this
brother,
tunnel
we never
and noticed
spoke
there
about
was
it.
a man that first
I
searched me
noticed
at first as
a
a place
mist or a fog
And I
kind
saw
of moving.
it was at a
The
dawn.
action, the
That
motion caught my
then
eye. It
the
actually
wizard,
started
without
taking
moving his
shape,
mouth,
taking
spoke to me and
form.
said,
The
"Struggle
idea of
you
the
to
Grim
young to
Reaper
die."
went through my head, cloaked figure. And as I was watching, it kept becoming more and more and more distinct to me that this was actually something with some type of presence. Like it knew I was there. And as I was watching it, it turned and looked directly at me. I felt like whatever this was angry at me. I wasn't welcome. It wanted me out. I had been face to face with a ghost or a demon, a spirit. I'm not really sure what. But this feeling of terror actually was going through me. And I really felt more that it was demonic. It was something very evil.
Hey everybody, welcome to Real Supernatural Encounters. So we're doing something a little bit different today because we wasn't able to get Zoom working for the both of us. So we're going to be recording this way off of Facebook Messenger. Now for our guest today, we have Michael, and he's going to be telling his near-death experiences. And if we have any extra time, he'll be getting into his supernatural stories and experiences as well. So before we get to that, Michael, could you give your brief bio about yourself?
Sure, brother. I'm Michael Simon. I'm 63 years old. Happily, well, I'm widowed. I've been a single dad to two wonderful daughters. And, I used to work, having two girls, I used to work two full-time jobs. I owned my own business, and that was running me 80 hours a week. I worked as a machinist, and that was another 40 hours a week. And I honestly burned myself out. I worked way too much. That is what led to my third near-death experience.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Michael, if you're ready, you can go ahead and start with your first story and just tell them in order.
Sure. It's not the near-death experiences that enlightens us to a point of a massive awakening. It's not until we ask, we receive. I asked for the knowledge, the clarity, and the understanding in the proper way, as I've learned to do. And the massive awakening after my third near death is what's brought me to the state of complete calm and peace and to where I am today. My first near death, I was 9 years old. And my parents were born in Hungary, and they escaped the revolution in 1957. My dad was killed in an accident when I was 2, and mom died of cancer when I was very young. Now, I was 9 years old. It was my first visit to Hungary, and I was able to meet all my relatives, and oh man, it was a blast. It was my first experience with real food. Sorry, I live in Canada. We got bacon and beer, and that's about it, right? So, yeah, real food. That was awesome. So anyway, I had accidentally put my hand through a window and cut the main artery. And long story short, I bled out. Now, in the car on the way to the hospital, I had a belt around my arm and was leaning up against my uncle, and I just wanted to go to sleep. And I can remember hearing him and feeling him shaking me and, stay awake, stay awake. And then next thing I know there's no blackness, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. The only time I've ever experienced the tunnel and coming through the tunnel and coming out the light is when I do astral travel. So the first near death, I was literally just slowly floating back away from the car. I could no longer, it was when you do astral travel, you still got the consciousness of your physical body and your meditation. However, it's another chunk of your consciousness that leaves your body and travels. When you die, that doesn't happen. Your consciousness completely leaves your body, and the physical part of me no longer has a consciousness. It's dead. And I'm floating up behind the car, but I'm not thinking. I'm observing. Okay. When you cross over, when you're thinking, you're creating. If you're asking questions, you're learning. If you're observing, you're learning. So I found this out through years of this. So anyway, floating up away from the car, I could see Budapest, I could see the car, and I followed it. And it was about a 5-minute drive left to the hospital. I watched my uncle carry my body into the hospital. And then when my uncle and my body went into the hospital and disappeared, I just looked around and slowly floated up, and about a minute maybe. And then I finally thought, well, hell, I guess this is it. And as soon as I thought, instantly, before I could even get the thought out, it was as though somebody was right behind me answering my questions. I remember turning around and looking, but there was nobody there. And I said, is this it? And the voice said, you have your choice. You can come with us or you can stay here. To me, I thought, what do you mean? I don't have a choice, man. I'm staying here. And instantly, I was snapped back into my body, but I didn't have any feeling yet. The doctors had just stepped back with the paddles in their hand, and they had hit my heart with the defibrillator. I didn't feel any of that. And then slowly the tingling sensation came back into my body, and I could feel my body. I could see and hear everybody in the room, and they're sewing my arm back up. And you know, at 9 years old, a lot of that after about a year was completely forgotten about. You know, the second near death at the age of 22, I had a horrific car accident. Somebody was driving a Chrysler New Yorker, pulling a camper trailer, doing 140 kilometers an hour, popped a red light, broadsided me, punched me through the windshield of my car, ripped the seat belts right out of the floorboards, broke my back, bounced right through the windshield of their vehicle, and just lightly touched heads with the daughter in the back seat. And she's going, "Oh shit, daddy! Oh, he lost his eye. He lost his eye." Well, my left eyelid had taken 18 stitches. The eyelid itself was cut. The eye was fine. I got pretty busted up. But anyway, instantly floating up over the scene, looking at the car and looking at the crash, and thinking to myself, the first thought was, "I'm dead." Next thing I know, instantly, I'm sitting on the most beautiful mountainous valley, sitting up onto the mountain, you know, and looking down into the valley and looking around. And I thought, geez, this is like the interior of British Columbia. This is just, what the hell? How come this is like Earth? I don't understand this. And all of a sudden there's an angel appears beside me. I could see her as clear as day. And she explains to me where I am. And the bottom of the valley was a huge, massive expanse, but it was all one level. It was all modern concrete and glass, and it just didn't make sense. It looked so out of place. But there's so many courtyards and playgrounds, and it was just teeming with children and pets and people. And I asked, "What the hell is this? What am I looking at?" And she had said, "This is where." Let me see if I get this right now. This is where all the souls come, and in waiting for the grand reunion, whatever the grand reunion is. Well, that's all of us, our soul tribe. We all get together and we replan this physicality again. So she had said this is where all the aborted, the miscarried, and the children who have left early are being cared for. And this is where all our pets are. And you know, when you were there, and I'm looking at the greenery and the mountains and the trees and the valley and the running stream and everything just looked too perfect. The colors that you see on the other side make our colors and what we see look like shades of gray. They really do. It was just amazing. So she said to me, she said, I asked some kind of a question about staying or if I could go back or whatever. I can't remember what I'd asked, but she had said I had a choice. I could stay and help out here, or I could go back. That's right. No, I didn't ask anything. That's right. And this second one, that's right. She surprised me with the fact that I could go back. That's right. So immediately I said, yeah, I'd love to go back. And before I could get that out, instantly I'm in my body again in the hospital. I'm all wrapped up and being cared for. So the third near death, I had, like I said, worked myself to a frazzle and literally had a gun to my head. I was ready to pull the trigger. And when that happened, just before I pulled the trigger, I literally cried out. I said, I don't understand. Like as a kid growing up when I was 5 years old, I remember my dad died and mom hired a nanny, and she was extremely religious and had me, they were forcing me to church and read the Bible. Man, I'll tell you, 5 years old, I'm reading that ancient English and I've got half that Bible memorized. And sitting down in the church, I can remember the minister talking about how we're supposed to tithe 10% of our money to the church. And he's actually stating this from some paragraph out of the Bible. And I stood up and you know, in a nice, pleasant way, said, fuck, you're full of shit, buddy. Listen, this is what it says right here. And it says there was an older gentleman that was talking to his son, and he was teaching his son that you need to tithe 10% of your income, meaning every single penny you earn for the rest of your life, put 10% of it into your mattress, put 10% of it away for yourself, for your retirement, because your physical body can only work so long. And you're still going to live a long time after that, and you need money. This has got nothing to do with giving the church money, for heaven's sake. Well, I was asked after that not to come back. Yeah, no problem. No problem. I got no problem with that. So it didn't take long to realize that religion is truly man-made nonsense. 90% of it. You cannot take, I speak two languages, so I know that you cannot take one language and translate into the other without losing something in the translation. Now, these texts, these ancient texts were written 100 years or 200 years after the fact. That in itself should also set up a red flag, you know. They're right on the King James Version of the Bible. It's his own edition. I mean, these guys have taken and omitted anything and everything from these ancient texts that are helpful, that are very helpful for us. That there's proper ways to pray, and they don't say that in the Bible. But the proper way to pray is to literally, you have to feel both love and gratitude together and be grateful. If you want $1 million, oh God, thank you so much for my $1 million. That's all you have to do. Thank them for your $1 million. And guess what? Forget about it, and eventually you'll have $1 million. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Ask and ye shall receive. There's so much truth to that. So after my third near death, I asked, and boy, did I receive. Now, before I pulled the trigger, the angel shows up beside me and she touches me. She puts her hand on my hand. And the feeling that went through my body was like an electrical energy that engulfed your entire body and every aspect of it, from every hair follicle right to the tip of your toes. You knew full well you were feeling something that was not physical. It was, yeah. And that's when I saw 3 little black orbs leave my body. And that was just negative energy. And after that, I've received many, many visions and visitations, and I've learned a great deal about how things happen. So what I'm getting at is the second time I started asking questions, and that's when I started learning a lot. The first time I didn't ask any questions, I just observed. But I've noticed how in all these near-death experience stories, people that have crossed over have had to experience, and I know for a fact from working with psychic mediums and learning how to do that, that we were able to say, my mom and the nanny were so extremely religious. After they died, that's what they experienced, was hell and heaven and all the nonsense. And believe me, it is not something you want to experience. Mm-hmm. You're not at peace. Okay. But having said that, they're there for a reason, and they're learning that for a reason. And their soul tribe, somebody from their soul tribe is eventually going to come and basically rescue you, if you will. And well, laughingly, we come here. There are so many souls that are not allowed to come here because they're buttheads. And basically, that's it. Now, we come here and create this heaven because look at it this way. When you and your lover are on the other side, you go to hold her hand. Where's your hand going to go? You go to give her a hug. Where the hell is that going to go? You try and kiss her on the cheek. How's that going to work? You can't touch each other. You don't have that dense physicality. You cannot sit down at a stove and cook up a meal or sit down afterwards and enjoy a meal. You don't have the taste. You don't have the smell. You don't have, there's so many things here on earth that we have created for ourselves in this physicality. This is heaven. The other side, that's not heaven. That's the other side. And that's immense. However, what we have here is we are all one, and people don't understand that. I hear the people that are tapped in repeat it, but they really don't understand it. You are a part of God. Okay? I had a visitation with Jesus and sat down and had a little conversation with him. And the very first thing he told me, stop worshiping me. Stop asking me for forgiveness. You're not a sinner. I am the same soul as you that had come to earth to experience a physicality. We come from pure love. We are pure love. We are a part of God. If God, all it is, this entire universe is made of atoms. A neutron and a proton, it's pure energy. That's all it is. Every single thing from your hair follicle to the rocks and the mountains, the entire universe in itself, and every alien being within it, for Christ's sakes, we're all one. But people just don't seem to understand that. I have a spirit guide that is an alien. And I've learned a great deal from him. When I was 19 years old, a girlfriend of mine and I had phoned a buddy, or 20 minutes away, at 11 o'clock in the morning, said we were coming to visit. I had a very old 1956 Panhead Harley. To start that thing cold, nobody could be sitting on the back. I had to do this on the kickstand, advance the timing, pull the choke, and kick and kick and kick. Okay, I had to go through a warm-up period before we can get that old piece of junk going. So we're riding that bike out, coming along the highway, about to make my turn off, and on the right-hand side, we spotted what looked exactly like your typical, stereotypical little silver UFO, and I laughed. I thought, man, somebody has taken a Cessna airplane and customized it and made it look like that. That is so cool. And I nudged Laureen on the back of the bike and pointed at it. I said, check that out. It scared the hell out of her. So the next stop sign, I've got to turn right down towards it, and she's panicking. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stay away from that. So we get the stop sign at a T crossing. I can only go left or right, and I stop there. And right there across the road, hovering above the fence, is this perfectly silver-shaped little UFO. And we looked at it for not more than 2 or 3 seconds. And then I'm stopped breathing so I can try and hear it. I'm not hearing anything. And then all of a sudden, it was like a heat wave was around it, and it slowly started to raise about 10 or 15 feet above where we had seen it. And then all of a sudden, wham, like hyperspace on one of your computer games, that sucker was gone. And that's when we realized, wow, that really was a UFO. Oh my God. Well, now I look down at the bike, it's on its kickstand, and the bike is stone cold. I don't understand this. The keys turned off. Like, what's going on? Laureen had to get off the back of the bike. I figured just a couple of kicks because the engine would be warm to start. No, I felt the engine was stone cold. Long story short, we pull up to my friend's place, and it's 4:15 in the afternoon. Where did those 4 hours go? No idea. It's a glitch in time. I really don't know. But I know there's one thing for sure. We were not standing at a stop sign with my Harley for 4 hours. Yeah, that one I really can't explain. Since then, I've been doing a lot of work with many psychic mediums and learning a lot and learning as much as I can about it. And one of the ladies that I've met is the wisest feminine energy. There's no ego involved. I've worked with some who have just learned the you know, through a near-death experience have just become mediums. And there's one lady here on the island that teams up with another lady, and they're fantastic. They're really amazing psychic mediums. But there's just too much ego involved. Unfortunately, they don't realize that when I'm sitting beside them, I'm seeing the same soul they are, and I'm hearing the same message they are. And I can hear how they retort that message and distort the message and put their own ego into it and completely change the message altogether.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. But I've met one lady, Gina Nezel. I have to mention her. I'm sorry. She is just the wisest energy here, right here on Vancouver Island. And there's zero ego involved. And when she connects with you and your family on the other side, it is the most amazing connection. She has grown up with this ability from the get-go, and she has worked at it and mastered it. And it's just truly amazing. Yeah, she's really good. Yeah, and out where she lives, she's about 2 blocks away from a portal. And we have seen coming in out of the sky and coming up out of the ocean in that portal all kinds of UFOs. She's videotaped them. Her first encounter with a UFO was when she was a teenager. She's my age, in her 60s. And her first encounter with a UFO was on the mainland in Vancouver. And she's videotaped the whole thing. There's little aliens running around underneath it. And it's just, yeah, mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. She's met somebody that she sees and bumps into occasionally that can communicate with her telepathically, but she doesn't know him, you know, and she figures he's a hybrid. I don't. We're just assuming. We're just guessing. But I've been able to work with my guide, one of my guides who is an alien, elongated head, and I call him George. And yeah, was working hard at astral travel. I so love that because I learned so much from it. I used to have to meditate and really clear my mind to be able to do it. And every time I would do astral travel in the beginning, that's when I would all of a sudden see a little tunnel, and I could go into the tunnel. It was nice and dark. You see the little light at the end, and you'd come out at the other end. And when you came out, you're in completely other. You'd be actually the first probably 6 or 7 times. It was always looking at one of my past lives. You could see little snippets and bits of your past life, and you'd see how you died. I don't know why that was, but yeah. Now, not all the time, but a lot of the time, I can travel at the drop of a hat. Sitting, standing, doing anything. I just close my eyes, and all of a sudden I can see. Now, every time you do astral travel, like I said, you've still got your consciousness in your physical body. However, a piece of that consciousness leaves and floats away. So you've got 2 consciousnesses working now when you're doing astral travel. It's pretty cool. Any questions you want to ask, Anthony?
Oh, yeah, I got tons, but I'll wait till you tell some more of your experiences if you have any. I know you said that you also said something about a portal on an island, and then visitors
Yeah,
on the other side.
that's right down in James Bay, right by off of 2 blocks away from Gina's place. And like I said, she looks out her window and she's able to videotape all kinds of stuff from that portal. It's right in the ocean, in the Juan de Fuca, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, right close to the breakwater, Ogden Point, real popular area. And yeah, you know, I go down to Esquimalt Lagoon down at the beach there, and I'm looking at it from a different direction. And not every time I go, but most times I go, I'll see something that you can see it's cloaked in a cloud and hidden in the middle of the day, and it looks too saucer shaped. It's just, what the heck is that? When the whole sky is blue, there's not a cloud in the sky, but there's that one saucer shaped cloud right where it's supposed to be, and there's planes flying by and nobody's really noticing, and then all of a sudden it just out right of the blue completely disappears instantly. And then I'll see shiny little silver ones. We'll see hundreds of lights of like there's hundreds of them. We'll see them coming up out of the ocean. We'll see them coming down out of the sky, or we'll see them hovering right there at our level, and all of a sudden, bam, they're down in the ocean, disappear. The fact is we are all one. Okay, these are our forefathers. They've been here just as long as we have. This whole cyclic experience here on this planet has been just that, one big cycle after another, after another, after another. We've been doing this for an eternity, and people don't understand eternity. That means forever. Okay, the life within this universe is infinite. And that's another one people just don't seem to really get their heads around what infinite is. So when you see 9,000 different types of aliens, it's all a little speck of God. It's all a little piece of God, if you will, because we just don't know what to call it other than God or all it is. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't have any video or pictures of that, but Gina sure has.
Yeah, I would love to see those. Any videos, pictures, evidence of anything that you guys experienced.
Well, I did notice there was one night, actually, one summer night, I can remember standing outside and coming in a direction that would be, that's facing north, is we're going to say slightly from east to west with a slight south, not perfectly east to west. It was more from northeast to southwest. I see what looks like a star, but all of a sudden the star starts moving, and it's traveling at a good pace in that direction. And then about, well, let's say 100 yards behind it, another one shows up, and then another one. And then, so there's four of them going across the sky at any given time. And then when the first one disappears out of sight, another one comes in. Second one disappears out of sight, another one went in. Well, I'm watching this for like 15 minutes, wondering what in the hell am I seeing here? These are not satellites. You know, they're not, they're, or what do you call them? Yeah, there's nothing I could explain. It was just, it looked like a white, bright star, but this went on for 15 minutes. And I'm watching this, and then it stopped. And I turned around and looked in the other direction at a little star cluster close to the Milky Way. And this entire star cluster, all of a sudden, every single star, they're turning clockwise. They make about a quarter, they move about a quadrant, and then 3/4 of them stopped dead, and the other quarter just kept on going and took off. Yeah, that was strange. I can't explain that one.
Well, Michael, I have tons of questions for you if you are ready.
Shoot.
All right. What did it feel like when you first died and left your body?
There was no feeling at all. The first time as a child, like I said, it's just 1 second I'm laying there up against my uncle wanting to go to sleep, and he's trying to keep me awake, and I'm getting annoyed. I want to go to sleep, and the next thing I know, I'm behind the car looking in at the back window at me leaning against my uncle. There was no feeling. There's no feeling. My body, I don't feel the body. I'm separated from it. Completely disconnect from the body. I don't feel the pain in my arm. I don't feel anything. And now, as a sense of physicality in my consciousness, I don't feel anything. I don't see my body. You know, I don't see myself at all. I'm just literally viewing myself and feeling like I'm floating up.
So not being able to feel your body and stuff, did it feel more real where you were at?
No, no different.
Okay.
And I'm only 9 years old, though.
Okay.
Now, when I was 22 and smashed up in the car, there was a young boy that was 8 years old, my boss's son, that was sitting in the passenger seat. And at the passenger seat was where we took the impact. That young boy, when we stopped, didn't have a scratch on him, not a bruise. And when my boss, it was his car that we were driving, when my boss, and after I'd gotten out of the hospital and everything, my boss and I and his wife and family were all sitting there having dinner one night. And I asked Todd, the young boy, I said, what the hell happened? How did you manage to get out of this without a scratch? He says, man, just before impact, I felt like somebody grabbed the scruff of my neck and ripped me out of that seat. And then I could hear the crash. I could see the crash. And the next thing I know, I'm slammed back into the seat.
Whoa.
Right? Now, I felt myself going through my windshield. I left my right eyebrow on that windshield. And I felt myself going through the other windshield. And I left my left eyebrow and half my skull on that, or the skin on my skull on that one. I could feel all the pain. My left hand was broken. My back was pretty hurt. I was hurting, and I could hear the young girl in the back seat crying. I just lightly bumped heads with her. She was sitting in the middle of the back seat, and I'm in between the mother and father that they're in the front seat, and I'm laying there belly down. I cannot move. I tried to, and I could not move. So when I woke up, I was on a really strange bed in the hospital, on my belly, so to speak, with my knees down, and this bed would slowly be moving my lower torso, my knees and legs up and down, probably 3 times in the course of about 12 hours. It would move up to straighten out and then back down ever so slowly, just to keep you moving. Yeah, I ended up getting up and walking out of that hospital very shortly after coming back to my body. I had doctors telling me your back has been very seriously compromised, and you will have serious arthritis in your lower back. You will have a lot of pain. Be prepared to spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't long after that I got back into karate and got a black belt in karate, and I've not had a back pain since. I've blocked that. For the first little while, I believed their nonsense, and I went in. I was working and did something and hurt my back, and I remember going into a doctor's office and getting x-rays, and the doctor looking at the x-rays, and he's yelling at the nurse, "Whose bloody x-rays are this? This is like some 70-year-old man. This isn't this young 30-year-old's back." He says, "Let's go back down and get these x-rays done." And this time I'm going with you. And I'm bringing her, and I'm looking at the x-rays right there in situ, and he's looking at the x-rays, and he brings me in, and he looks and he shows me how each and every vertebrae, instead of coming up to a nice sharp point between the discs, they're all rounded right off, and the discs are all flattened out. The vertebrae are trying to fuse. And he says, this is the type of thing I see in somebody that's 70 years or older that's crippled and can't walk.
Oh, wow.
He said, and yet here I am. I'm able to stand straight-legged, legs together, and bend down, touch my toes, but I was having a hard time getting back up. If you listen to the doctors, they're constantly trying to keep you in tune with your ill health. They're not there to heal you. It's a business. It's a racket. Unless you have like serious accidents and surgery and things. I mean, yeah, stay away from doctors, stay away from drugs, prescriptions. Jesus, I can't believe it. The medications and the drugs that they're coming out with are so harmful.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, the power of the mind, if you honestly believe that placebo is going to work, it's going to work. Every single vitamin pill on the market is a placebo. Your body doesn't recognize it. You pee it out. And yet, if your mind, the strength of your mind, if you honestly believe it, it will work. I learned everything I know about Reiki. I learned that on the other side from Jesus, from Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. I get to see people's guardian angels. I work at the hospice here in Duncan and help people transition. And when they pass on, there's always 2 guardian angels that come to collect them. I have a really good communication with my own guardian angels and other guardian angels and archangels. And that's how I learned Reiki after that nice long discussion. I had a 4-hour discussion with Jesus on the other side. And yeah, it wasn't until about a year after practicing and moving energy and helping to heal. And every time I do, I'm standing beside them. I'm watching them. It's a joint effort, and they're teaching me. And so I'd met a lady who had claimed to be a Reiki master. Fact of the matter is, she's not even a practitioner, never mind a master. And so she had this little book on Reiki, and I picked it up and started looking at it. She said, "Oh, no, you can't look at that. There's sacred symbols in there you're not supposed to see." So I went down and bought myself a book on Reiki and realized, so this is what they've taught me. So Master Usui, in the 1800s, through Buddhist or through monks, Tibetan or Buddhist, I'm not sure which, had learned about this divine sacred healing energy and learned about Reiki. So when you pick up a book on Reiki and you read about it, it's all true. Everything in there true. And that's why it's contradictory. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that those attunements that you have to pay big dollars to the master for are bullshit.
Yeah.
Those sacred symbols, well, you know what? They can be a tool in your toolbox if that's your limited perception. You honestly believe that those inscribing those little symbols in your hand is actually going to work. Well, yeah, it will work. You're damn straight it will. But when I asked, the next time I was moving energy, I was standing beside Archangel Michael on my right. To the right of him was Raphael and Gabriel. To the left of me was Mary, Jesus's wife, and Jesus himself. And we were moving energy. There was a young boy that had taken a dive in a swimming pool and broke his neck. Completely paralyzed. He couldn't breathe. He was on hooked up to machines, and his parents had been given the little meeting that it was time to pull the plug on. Mom wasn't willing to do that just yet, and that's when Mom bumped into me somehow online, and I told her I could probably help. But I didn't know I was doing Reiki at the time. Or sorry, I did this time, or had an idea that I might be. Now, when we're moving the energy, I can remember asking Michael beside me, what's with these symbols? Is this something I need to learn? And he looked at me, he smiled, he laughed. He says, have you ever seen any one of us inscribing symbols in our palm of our hand? I says, no. He said, well, forget about it. Right? Literally. Yeah. So I've worked with a lot of Reiki masters. And you know, it's kind of like in religion, they've got those faith healers. Okay? 99% of them are fake bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's like in life right now with our psychic mediums, there's a real high percentage of them are absolute BS. They're not honest at all. They're just con artists. They're looking to make a buck. It's a big industry. They're looking to make money. In my opinion, anybody that is truly interested in helping and healing and enlightening, they're not charging money for it. Okay? Those that are, I always say, stay the hell away from them. Having said that, though, Gina, she only charges $100. You get a 1 hour sitting with her, and you're going to come away a changed person. I highly recommend it. You have no idea how many people I've given her phone number to here locally and really wanted them to go visit her and learn from her. You know, she's amazing. However, having said that, I've found that I think most Reiki masters, they don't get to see the energy, the actual energy. I've heard some of them say, oh, it's source energy. We're all, you know, we're all part of source energy. No, it's not source energy. Source energy is pure love. I'm sorry, that's not the divine healing energy that we're moving. When we're moving healing energies, it's all different colors. And all these colors are specific to certain healings, apparently. There's a purple healing energy that is a blanketed protection, and it protects you from your own negative thoughts, but it protects you from any negativity. There's no harm is going to come in physically or mentally. I can remember when at the end of every session, I used to turn the energy into a beautiful, beautiful, bright red. And that's just my own pure love. That was it, period. And this one time in the middle of doing that, the energy turned purple. I asked after the session, I said, what was that? Why did it turn purple? And I was told that it was to protect her from physical or psychic attack. So I asked her, I said, why would we have to protect you from physical or psychic attack? And she said, oh my, I've been on a dating site and I have a stalker. No, there you go. There's your physical attack. Yeah. My mother has passed away. My mother was an evil bitch and she's still attacking me. So everybody, you know, the mediums all seem to think that it's all love and flowers and everything's all so beautiful. And well, guess what? Take a look at the major diversity in souls that are here right now. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing on the other side. There's the sneaky ones. There's the ones that like to joke and play and be mischievous. And there are the not so nice ones. Evil? No, there's no such thing as evil. Satan? No, there's no such thing as Satan. God, are you going to cross over and see somebody in a long white beard meeting you at the pearly gates? That ain't going to happen. But you know what? If you honestly believe in religion, then that's what you're going to experience. So when I read everybody else's near-death experiences and how they're seeing the tunnel and they're seeing this and they're seeing that, this is all 100% unique to each and every one of us. And it's solely dependent upon our beliefs and our thoughts at the time. When you cross over to the other side, your thought manifests instantly, not like it does here. We're learning how to manifest through our thoughts, and it's working wonderfully, but it takes a little while. However, on the other side, if you even think, even before you finish the thought, you think, man, I want to be driving a little red Maserati. Next thing you know, before you can think the thought, you're in that red Maserati flying down the Autobahn.
Wow.
You know?
That is amazing. What have you and, as you said, Jesus talked about for those hours that you were
Well,
around him?
I was out in my garden, and I had acreage out there, and like I said, we're forested. So after the winter, but when spring comes in, before we can push a lawnmower or ride our lawnmower around our little acres, we got to get out there and spend a whole day raking up pine cones and branches and, you know, cleaning up the mess. And I'm out there one day, and the clouds are black. It's dark out. It's looking like it's going to rain any minute. And I'm spending the day out there raking up my mess. And all of a sudden it gets real bright, like the sun's come out. I turn around and look over to my left, and there's no sun. What the hell am I seeing? I look back over in the direction I am, and my property line, the fence is gone, and my property still looks the same. Only now it's the most brilliant colors, and I know instantly, like, something's happened. The fence line is gone, and my neighbor's property is gone, and in place of it is the most beautiful acreage in this great big pond. There's a white and blue marble bench, and there's a white robed figure sitting in that bench, and he's not got his back to me completely. It's more of on a little bit of an angle. And I can remember I got my rake in my hand. I'm looking around. Geez, there's nothing to rake here. Drop the rake, and as soon as I saw that figure, bloody hell, that's Jesus. And I walked over, and as I passed in front of him to go sit on the other side beside him, and we had eye contact, oh my God, the love that I felt. I've never felt anything like that. You know how on Messenger, if you hit a little red heart and send it to somebody, and you open it up, and it's just, you know,
Yeah.
you're showered in it. It's
Yeah.
like that. It was just like that. I was
Wow.
just showered, and I just, man, I can't explain it. We sat down, and we didn't have to say anything for the first little while. But, you know, before I could get a word out, the very first thing he said to me is, stop worshiping me. Do not pray to me or ask me for forgiveness. You are not a sinner. I was a soul having a physical experience here, just like you. I am no different than you. Now, one thing that's really important is don't look, these people that are helping you or enlightening you, don't look up to them and worship them in any way, shape, or form, because you're going to be really disappointed and let down. As soon as you place any expectation on a human, you're going to be disappointed at some point.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast, right? But every lesson, everything that happens is a lesson. Your children are teaching you more than you are teaching them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a lesson. And if you can see and sit back and see how everything really is a lesson, and a lot of times you're going to see, like, here's Putin carrying on like a moron and has been for so long, but he's an important integral player in our little fantasy here. Okay. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a house where my Hungarian mother would tell me the most horrific stories at dinner time about what happened in Hungary and how they treated the Hungarians and how they would come in and massacre right in front of the children. My mother, at the age of 19, her and her friends, their idea of a Friday night party, making up Molotov cocktails and hiding in the ditch, and the last tank that went by in the convoy, you jump up on that tank and open the hatch and fill it with a Molotov cocktail, slam the hatch down, hold it tight, because they're trying to open it up in there and burn every one of those, right? So when Putin pulled this nonsense, I'm not kidding you, I went straight down to WestJet, $700 I wasted. I was heading right straight down to the Ukrainians, and they told me they'd give me a gun. I was going to go stand shoulder to shoulder with my brothers and kill every piece of shit communist I could. Yeah. Well, it didn't take me long to think and realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be looking at this is, wait, whoa, back this up a minute. What am I doing, right? Yeah, so it was like a light came on. There's a lesson here to be learned. Look for the lesson. And it didn't take me long to realize that Putin has been a key player in this little goofy thing. Now, Greg Braden is an awesome scientist. So combining science and intellect with what spirituality I've been able to attain, you put the two together and it makes perfect sense. The way he explains how this planet is on a cycle, and it's awesome how he explains it. And yes, we're coming to the end of that cycle.
Yeah.
We have apparently blown this planet to hell at the end of each and every cycle. But this time, however, we seem to feel, and we could be totally wrong, but we seem to think and we seem to feel that we're a little too enlightened for that to happen now. Okay, and quite frankly, I have to believe it too.
Yeah.
I don't have to, but I do. Otherwise, it would have happened already. Look at that crazy idiot in North Korea. Look at these the communism in China and the massive population and the oh my God, and Putin has been and prior to him, the Russian communists have been the worst. So what are they doing in Afghanistan? And look at all the deaths and all the killing and everything that's going on. They're all key players in the part of our little program here, right? And there's lessons to be learned. If you get a chance to pick them off, I'd pick them off. I'd take them to the train station and go hunting with them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I would. Now, it's not the right thing to do.
Mm.
We're supposed to love one another because we are all one. Whether we're stupid, whether we make mistakes, or whether we're hurting others. I used to get really upset with people and get angry with people who are supposed to be enlightened and are teaching people spirituality, and yet they're not being honest. As soon as I sense dishonesty, I used to get really upset. I don't anymore. It's their bag. It's their issue, not mine.
Yeah.
You can lie to me all you want. I don't care. But when I'm tapped in, tuned in, turned on, I can tell who's being honest with themselves and who's not. You just know it instantly. You can feel and sense other people's energy in a way that you've never been able to.
Okay. Let's see. Now, you said that you're able to see guides,
Yes.
people's guardians. Are you able to see people's guides?
Yes.
Say like right now, are you
Yes.
able to? You can. I always wanted to know like what my guides are, or
If you can sit down, spend a time, look locally for a good, talented psychic medium.
okay.
Sit down, pay the $100 and sit down, and I'm telling you, if they start asking you questions, get up and walk away.
Yeah.
You sit down and they start immediately telling you what they're seeing, what's going on. It's all honest and makes sense. You're going to learn something. Like I said, I've been to Teresa Caputo, so I could name about 6 or 8 different highly famous psychic mediums. And it's like they've all got a little tiny piece of information they give you, but they're very limited because of their level of perception. They're extremely limited to what they can tell you. You'll get 1 or 2 little snippets of something, and they just keep going over and over and over and beating it to death. And not until I sat down with Gina was I able to put the whole damn picture together. I mean, yeah, you find one good one, and they'll clarify everything for you. And they'll describe all your guides and tell you who your guides are because they're there with you. I mean, when you say, like when I tell you your grandfather or great grandfather who's passed on is watching over you, he's not. He's within you right now. He's looking at me, talking to you.
Yeah.
What I've found, the only time that you're actually not in that state is when your loved one is in a mirror. That's when you're literally, it's like you're on the other side of the mirror looking at them. You can't communicate with them. They can't hear you, and yet you're trying to. I had a lady, I used to have an awesome little spot out by the pond in the backyard of an acreage I had, and if the light would flicker in my dining room, I knew that there was a soul that was trying to contact me.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it was somebody I knew that had crossed over. And then I'd have wonderful little communication with them. I go into the house, and 10 minutes later or a day later, I get a phone call. Well, I hate to inform you about, no, you don't have to inform me nothing. Let me inform you. I saw Neil today, and so that this one time I was sitting out there meditating, and a lady in a whole blue hippie dress steps around the corner, very shyly looks at me and smiles. And I look up at her. Instantly, I realize it's a soul. It's not in human form, though, not in physical. It's not physical. It's a soul.
Yeah.
I remember looking up and saying hi. Poof, she disappeared. So the next night she shows up again, only this time she actually stopped and said hi. I said, hi, who are you? Whew, she disappears. So I bump into a lady about a week later, a young lady, and she had her, I had my back to her, but I heard her voice. The minute I heard her voice, I just could feel the love instantly. When I was 9 years old, after that first near-death experience, after that, when I would look at somebody's eyes, when I would first meet, everybody I would meet, when I'd first see them, I would see their eyes and see them as the soul, not as the physical. I'd see them as a soul. And the difference between that, it's like you wearing theatrical makeup and not wearing any makeup. And it would throb in and out. And I'm going, what the hell am I seeing? But for the most part, for the first time I would meet them, for that first day as a kid playing with them, they were just the most beautiful. Oh man, they're you know, I'd see their soul. The next day I'd see them, and I wouldn't see that, and I wouldn't even recognize it. You know, I would have, as a kid growing up, I had this English spinster who was extremely religious giving me lessons, and she was like 56, 63, something like that, and I'm like 9 years old, and I'm looking at this old lady teaching me a lesson, and all of a sudden she turns into like a shy little 13-year-old girl. If it wasn't for the eyes, looking at the eyes of this lady, I wouldn't recognize her, wouldn't know what the hell was going on. But I never told anybody because I don't want to spend my time in a mental institute.
Yeah.
You know, I keep this to myself. So anytime I'd have that connection with somebody, I feel an immense love for them, you know, and this was difficult growing up in my early 20s because I would be falling in love with any girl. I'd look at her eyes, and if I saw that, that was it. I'd fall in love with her. But it didn't take long to realize it wasn't the same love that you she's not your soulmate. Basically, she's just not your soulmate, you know, and it just wouldn't work out. It took me the longest time to figure out what the heck was going on. And I couldn't figure out any of it just because of my near-death experiences, even after the massive one I had at 22, and I got to spend a lot of time and a lot of, you know, information given to me. I still didn't know what was going on. It wasn't until my third near-death where I sat down and I was taught that when you pray, you ask the question, ask for it first, and then immediately, I'm so thankful for what I'm about to receive. Thank you, and if you honestly feel that gratitude, it happens. You know, it just happens. So I asked for clarity, I asked for understanding, and I asked for the wisdom and the knowledge. And boy, did they give it to me. There's a couple of times in meditation, I reached a point where it's like you're on the cutting edge of the universe, and you're looking out at it's like Star Wars. You're out in the universe. And you know, and you can sense that you have access to anything, and you can have the access to the answer to any question you want. You've got the ultimate intelligence. It's right there. Some people call it the Akashic records. I don't know anything about that, but I do know that I tested it, asked a simple question, was given a simple answer. Now I can remember, I wish I could remember what the question I'd asked, because I remember asking one that was extremely you know, intense, and the only answer to it would be a real complicated calculus answer. And the answer was given to me, and yeah, it was 3 pages of intense calculus. I took calculus, but not advanced calculus. But I just knew that, okay, it didn't matter what I asked, I was going to get the answer to. And 2 or 3 times I've reached that meditation. It was so cool. So I've learned a lot, learned a heck of a lot. And I realized that the more I learn, the more I don't know. The more questions I have, the more I need to learn.
Yeah.
But when you see and others who are struggling and suffering with this and don't really understand what's going on, that's when I feel like I need to step in and help. But I don't. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is broken. Nothing needs fixing. Everything is as it should be, and everything is as it was planned. We plan this physicality before we come here. Now, having said that, we lead astray from our plans in many ways. We connect. It's so amazing how we connect with our soulmates. My soulmate was born in Wales, and I was born in Canada. And yet we still met, we still got together, we still had the best relationship, the most amazing love, and yet we drifted apart. It just didn't work out. Now, every other relationship I've had will never match that, and they don't work.
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder if, well, if we designed and, or, agreed, to that one soulmate, are the others just a waste of time or not? I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, I've got lots of questions too. These questions won't be answered in meditation. Some of them will, but it's not till you cross over and you ask questions. And what I found is really important is when you do pass, when you do die, when you do cross over, don't stand staunch and firm in any of your beliefs. I'm not going to stand staunch and firm in any of my beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask questions. That's when you're learning. Ask questions and they'll be honest with you. But if you go in there thinking that this, and I know this for a fact, working with psychic mediums, I've helped people and I've seen people who have crossed over who honestly believe this physicality is all there is to it. This life is a one-shot deal and that's it. And there ain't no life after death and that's it. So now when they cross over, they lock themselves into a little prism of black darkness and there's nothing. They're literally dead there. But we come, some of us, the psychic mediums will come and help them out of that and help them cross over. And it's all for a learning, for all of us to learn from. Or in a lot of cases, their own family, their own guides, their own guardian angels will come to their saving. Like I said, working at hospice, I found every time somebody crosses over, there's 2 guardian angels that comes for them. When my daughter was learning to drive, there was 4 guardian angels, my 2 and her 2 guardian angels in that car. Yeah, on all 4 corners of that car, I saw that beautiful white, big, bright, super bright light of those angels, all 4 of them. And I always thought we had 1 guardian angel. We don't. We have 2. The fact is, we have 2 of them.
Now, why do you think we have 2 guardian angels out of all numbers? Like, why 2?
Well, I'm just saying that because the fact that one time in the car I could see 4 instead of 2, and that every time I've seen somebody cross over, there's 2 angels for each person to cross over. And another psychic medium I was talking to, who had witnessed a horrific plane crash where there was hundreds of people who had crossed over, for each and every one of them there was 2 angels coming to collect them.
See, that's pretty amazing. The reason I asked that question was because, like, I think I'm really asking is, what do they represent? If there's 2 of them, like, what is their purpose?
Maybe the yin and the yang. There's a positive and a negative to everything. It's every word is a cutting edge. You can, everything, for every thought, there's a positive and a negative.
You're right. Yeah.
Everything here is made of atoms. And what is an atom? A proton and a neutron, a positive and a negative. Just a battery, the battery in my car needs a positive and a negative.
So do you think
it's simple as that?
So do you think, like, most of the times, like, for those people who have negative thoughts, it's not necessarily anything evil. It's just like a guardian or a guide that's kind of giving you a way of seeing something a certain way, opposite of another.
No, negative thoughts are a lack of your own control. You have to control your thinking. I was raised in a very violent, abusive setting, and 60 years of thinking negative, thinking judgmentally, judging and criticizing everybody all the time. Many negative thoughts, and it's that negativity that took me to the brink, wanting to shoot myself. I learned a huge important lesson from Marco Governelli. He's got he's got what I call spirituality for dummies, for beginners like I was, who really didn't have a clue. And his book really helped me. But one of the most important things in his book that taught me was thought control and the importance of controlling your thoughts. Let's talk about depression. You want to talk about depressed? I was 2 years old and was almost beaten to death in the crib. I did not live a happy life. I was sad and heartbroken before I was going to grade 1. I was contemplating suicide by 7 and 8 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no control over my negative thoughts, and they just roller coasted and snowballed out of control. Now, it's something that's called the law of attraction. You think one negative thought, and it creates another one, and another one, and another one. And it's like, yeah. God always says yes. It doesn't matter what you ask or say. Yeah, here, go ahead, experience it. The importance of controlling and stopping those thoughts is key. Now, if you have had a wonderful, happy childhood, and you're looking back at photo albums of all the golden years and the wonderful fun you've had, does it not bring a tear to your eye?
Yeah.
Is it not depressing? So the minute you start looking in the back, in the rearview mirror, the minute you start looking behind you, you're going to get depressed. So if you're living in the past, you're going to be depressed. You got to snap into the now. Forget about tomorrow. That may never happen. The future's not here.
Yeah.
You have to think about now. If you're thinking and worrying about tomorrow and or thinking about tomorrow, that's what creates your anxiety. So, these doctors, all these young teenage girls that are going into the doctors and are struggling with depression and anxiety, what are the stupid doctors doing? Giving them the most mind-altering, nasty drugs, and the side effects from those drugs are more harmful than anything. But having said that, if with the power of your thoughts, the power of your mind, if you honestly believe that little placebo is going to create the endorphins and create what's needed to make you happy, well, it's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is you're wearing an old comfortable shoe, and that old comfortable shoe says, think this way. So until you learn to control those thoughts, you're still going to be struggling with depression. You're always going to feel like the need for those drugs, but eventually you're going to say, man, I got to get off these drugs. They're fucking me up.
Yeah.
You put the damn drugs down and get off them, but you haven't learned thought control. You're going to be struggling all your life. And for each and every thought has two sides. Take that thought that's not bringing you joy and flip it and think the positive. Once you've thought a negative thought, flip it and think 3 positive thoughts and watch what happens. The 3 most important things in life are number 1, gratitude, number 2, gratitude, number 3, gratitude. And there's a reason for that. Our highest vibration is when we are feeling the combination of love and gratitude, those 2 things together. Nothing can hurt you. The answer to all your questions is love and gratitude, period. It just brings your highest vibration. Now it's like Esther Hicks. She channels Abraham. One of my spirit guides is Seth. It's the same. It's Seth and Abraham. They're all the same consciousness, the same family. They're here to teach us. There are many teachers here helping us. And the Esther Hicks YouTube videos on the law of attraction, if you've not seen them, you really got to check them out. You can learn a lot from that. But basically, the most important thing is to control your thoughts. The minute any thought is not bringing you joy, stop it and flip it. As soon as you flip it, you're going to have that snowball effect where you're just going to get more positive thoughts, one after the other. So what I used to have to do when I first learned this is focus and concentrate the instant you wake up. The instant you start waking up, all of a sudden you start remembering, oh yeah, I got this ache and I got this pain. And, oh yeah, I crushed my thumb last night. And oh, I got, you just start thinking all this negative crap, and away you go, snowballing your shitty day. So what I had to do was the instant I woke up, is I had to purposely, intentionally think positive thoughts. I had to think about what the happiest times of my life was the days I spent with my wife and my kids when they were just growing up, and just think happy, positive thoughts. Just spend 15 seconds. That's all it takes. 15 seconds of thinking happy, positive thoughts, and let that snowball. And it will. And then as you get up through the day and you start remembering everything, The minute you start thinking like that, you got to stop it. You got to control it. You got to stop those thoughts and go, whoa, wait a minute. Let's flip it. Let's flip this. Try and look at that negative thought and go, okay, well, if it's the top of it is ugly, what I'm looking at, what's on the underside? Flip that thought and think the reverse. Think the opposite, Just got to control your thoughts. I don't know how I can say it in a way that these young girls can understand and actually lose their depression and lose their anxiety.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so easy for people to think negative or positive? Like, why is it so fluent for most people?
It's a comfortable shoe. It's like a comfortable shoe. It's just what they're used to, Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you've spoken about seeing a few different spirits in the job field that you worked, but outside of that, have you seen any other ghosts or any type of spirits?
I was working in the machine shop. I've been there for 18 years now. I retired 2 years ago and I'm collecting my pensions. Just this October, I've gone back to help out because they're missing guys and they can't get machinists, and it just boosts gives me Las Vegas money and hot rod money, right? Now, I worked there for probably about 15 or 16 years, right beside one gentleman who's my age. I replaced his brother-in-law, his best friend. He died at the age of 42 from ALS. Now, Greg and Rick. Rick was the one that died from ALS. Greg was the machinist I worked with, and those two were inseparable. They were best of buds right from teenagers to now. Like I said, Ricky had married Greg's sister, so they were brothers. And I said to Greg one day, I can remember feeling, kind of down and depressed, and even though I had these experiences at 22 and at 9, it's all in the back of your head. I still don't know. I still didn't know if there really was life after death. I can remember asking my mother before she crossed over, when I was, just a teenager. I said, Mom, I don't know how to word this or how to ask this, but shit, when you cross over, can you give me some kind of a sign to let me know that there really is life after death? And I never got anything, So I said to Greg, I asked him, I said, Greg, did you and Wilkie ever talk about life after death or anything like that? And he said, no. So listen, tell you what, he knows how much I suffered through my divorce and with the kids and the girls and everything. And I said to him, listen, either one of us, whoever crosses over first, let's make a pact between us, brother. We'll come back and give the other one a sign. We shook hands on it. 2 weeks later, he's strong and healthy, nothing wrong with him. 2 weeks later, he comes down with a flu bug that kills him.
Wow.
So I'm in bed one night, turned out the light, and was just closing my eyes. I sensed somebody looking at me, and I looked up, and not at the foot of my bed, but right there beside me where I could reach out and touch him was Greg, standing there just as plain as day. And I know because he's dead, it's not the physical body, it's a spirit. And I leaned out to touch him, and it went right through him. I looked really close at his face, and he looked so much older. It was so cool. And since then, I've had a million signs from him, Yeah, we got to watch for the signs. When your pet crosses over, when your mom crosses over, when your best friend crosses over, when your kitten crosses over, it doesn't matter, dog, cat, whatever, ask for a sign. Just close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and ask them for a sign. And watch what happens. That's why all the dimes and the feathers and the red cardinals, and that's what all this comes into play. Visions in the clouds, right? You're going to get lots of visions in the clouds that nobody else is seeing, and you know that's there specifically for you.
I've definitely seen shapes and angels in clouds. And I've had a lot of my own personal experiences, I guess you could say, when it comes to sounds and houses that have people that have passed away. So you
Synchronicity. Waking up at 3:33 every morning, seeing 3:33, 4:44, 11:11, 5:55, seeing these numbers and clocks and license plates in front of you all the time. Yeah. Synchronicity. These are all messages from the other side, guiding you, and you know, your higher self is always is guiding you too, you know, but you just don't, if unless you're really, really sensitive, that first gut feeling, that gut instinct, go with it. That's your higher self. The minute the analytical mind kicks in, you're going to tell the difference. A thought that comes from your heart, from your higher self, is never judgmental. It's never critical in any way, shape, or form. It's from love. It's from pure love, and it is pure love.
Yeah.
The thoughts that are analytical and critical and second guessing, those are the ones you need to shut down right away. Right? The thoughts that come from your gut, from your heart, speak from the heart, think from the heart, sing from the heart. Take a look at a really good singer. You know, you see that watching these different shows where these singers are competing, and the singers that are singing from the heart with emotion,
Yeah.
oh man, like that's just second to none, isn't it?
Oh
So
yeah.
if we can learn to think and speak from the heart, it's the same thing. It's with love and without judgment, without criticism. I've lived a life of extreme judgment and extreme criticism, and even with my knowledge, I've still only just recently learned a very valuable lesson. Marco Governelli, the one of the most tapped in people I know, I picked up and clued in to many things that weren't right, and I started judging him and criticizing him. Well, when I'm judging and criticizing, I'm not loving. And you got your choice. You can either judge your partner, criticize your partner, or love your partner, but you can't do them both at the same time. I choose to love, not to criticize anymore. So I'm still finding myself having to stop myself from thinking those judgmental, critical thoughts. Oh, isn't he a goof? No, 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 no. Stop that.
Yeah.
We're all one. This is my brother.
How old was you the third time that you had your near-death experience?
I was only about 5 or 6 years ago.
5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So how old were you?
How old was I?
Yeah.
Late 50s.
Late 50s.
About 50, yeah, 58 or something, yeah.
So your first near-death experience, I'm looking at this as numbers. You were 9 years old.
Yeah, second one I was 22 years old.
And then the
Third one, probably about 59. I was born in 1959 too. Yeah.
Okay. So there's like 13 years between the 9, when you're 9 and 22, and about 20, 25 years or more to your 59. Why do you think you've had these many near-death experiences?
To learn from.
Yeah.
So that I can learn and help and teach others. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people here. When we first come here, the first 4 years of our lives, we're tapped in. We've got 1 foot on the other side and 1 foot here. We can see and hear our family on the other side. When you see these young little kids playing with their make-believe friends, and they're not make-believe, they're seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they really are. And some people grow up with this and it doesn't change, and they become the most amazing gifted psychic mediums. Now, the programming, the physical programming, you know, from our parents and the kids around us and the televisions, that puts the stop to that by the time you're 4, 5, 6 years old. That's gone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one guy was saying he was sitting in the park with his mom. He was about 4 or 5 years old, and he was explaining to his mom how he could see auras, and he could see the energy around anything he looked at, and he could see different colors of auras around all people. And you know what Mom said to him? She says, "Oh, son, well, that's just because your eyes haven't matured yet." Well, instantly the kid's going, "Well, shit, I want my eyes to mature." Let's put a stop to that. And he's not seen an aura since.
Dang.
Everything here is 100% mental. Your health is 100% mental. When I move healing energy to help someone from a great distance, when they're on the other side of the planet, I still have to communicate with them, and I still have to inform them and teach them. Now, you've got the ability to move energy in Reiki just like I do. You notice if you bump your knee, the first thing you do is you put your hand on your knee, and there's that little bit of a relief instantly. You're moving energy, but you're not realizing it. You're not aware of it. And what you're focusing on is the pain, not the relief.
Yeah.
So if you put your hand on your knee after banging it and focus on the relief, pain's gone, right?
Yeah.
Now, at 30 years old, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. I was supposed to go in for colonoscopies and supposed to go in for chemo and all this crap. Yeah, no, sorry, I'm not playing that game with you guys. At 30, I realized and knew that my health is 100% mental. Yeah, no, I don't need to play this game. I'm 63 years old. I've never gone for chemo. Tell me I've got colon cancer. There's nothing wrong with me. I can eat anything I want. I am very regular, very happy, very healthy.
That's
My
awesome.
health is 100% mental. So when I move healing energy and try to help someone, a lot of times if they're dying, all I can do is alleviate some of their pain. You know, the energy does help and alleviate some of their pain. And this young boy that had broken his neck, now he was completely paralyzed, couldn't breathe or anything. So from a distance, I started moving energy, but with the help of his guides, his angels, my guides, my angels, I had a host of us out there doing it. The next day, I get a phone call from Mom. She says, we've unplugged him because he doesn't need the machine anymore. He can breathe on his own now. He's actually sitting up and eating on his own. And he's starting to move his legs and his arms. Okay, in one day. A good healer will be able to, with astral projection, I was able to literally get in and I could physically see, like I'm the size of a little micro dot, I could see the energy along his spine, how it was moving and how it was stopped and blocked right where he'd broken his neck. So I was literally able to create like a little bridge so that energy would keep flowing. That's what I visually saw and experienced when I was moving the healing energy. So the next morning I get a phone call from Mom, and they've disconnected him from the machine because he's breathing on his own. And he's actually starting to move. Within no time at all, he's in rehab learning how to walk again. Now he's out in the streets of Vancouver living a happy, healthy, normal life.
That is amazing. That is so awesome.
There was one young gentleman that had a brain tumor. And trying to somewhere down in the southern U.S. And I can remember I was telling him, I said, all I need is a picture of your eyes to connect, and I can help you. And I can remember looking at his eyes, and as soon as I look at someone's eyes, I can see their soul. So I connected with his higher self and had a wonderful little communication with his higher self. And I could see and feel and sense in my own head exactly where his tumor was. When I do a healing, I feel their pain. If they're blind, man, I'm telling you, for a day later, I'm struggling to see. I can feel and sense that pain.
Yeah.
Now, I still have to educate them and inform them that, yes, I can move this energy, but you need to focus and concentrate on the healing, on the good that you've just felt. And quit looking at and feeling, oh, geez, does it still hurt? Does it still hurt? You know? Yeah, no, don't think about the pain. Forget about the damn pain. Feel the healing. Feel how that pain is diminishing and remain that way. And when you do wake up in the morning, you have that stiff little twinge, just remember, I'm healed. That's just a little afterthought. That's just a little ripple effect, like an earthquake. I forget about that. And very soon you'll find yourself 100% healed. It's all mental, 100% mental. I remember as a kid taking karate. My sensei always used to say it's 90% mental, 10% physical. Well, guess what? He was wrong. It is 100% mental. You know, I got a black belt in judo, black belt in karate. I've done kickboxing. I've enjoyed all of that as a kid. I used to spend my life at the age of 17, 18, and 19 bouncing in biker bars and beating up bikers, you know. My life has changed so much. You would not believe the violent life I used to live.
It's amazing that you've came a long way from then.
Well, what's also as amazing is after having those near-death experiences, it just goes right out the window.
Yeah.
You forget all about it. And it's not until the third time that I literally sat down and asked, okay, you guys have got to clue me in now. And that's when I learned. I feel at peace 100%. I would love to sit down and talk with some yogis and I feel at par with them. I really do.
When you met Gina and for the first time, what
Mhm.
what pulled you towards her? Like what did she say to you or tell you about yourself that she
Well, she was actually somehow she'd become a friend of mine on Facebook, and I was in a Facebook group that Marco had, and I'd written out something about my UFO experience that Laureen and I had experienced there, the one I told you about, where we actually physically saw that spaceship take off in hyperspace, and she'd seen that, and she wanted to know more because she's been seeing this all her life. And she's living 2 blocks from that portal and seeing all kinds of things that are coming over, floating over her building. And she's photographing and videotaping all of it. So she just wanted to get together with me and pick my brains. And she's a Reiki master, and she has a special needs daughter who's in her 30s, who's autistic, very autistic. And every night, Gina snuggles with that beautiful daughter and does Reiki. Now, I was shown a vision from angels how this happens, and how the angels, many of them gather, not to move energy, but to watch and enjoy and see what she's doing and just feel the love, you know? Yeah, I don't know why. I was just curious and said, what the hell? I'm going to phone Gina and I'll give you $100. I want to do a reading.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, it's the best thing I've done because it was the best connection I've ever had.
Yeah.
And she makes Teresa Caputo look like an idiot. Okay, I'm sorry. Teresa Caputo is one of the most amazing, talented, gifted, beautiful, wonderful psychic mediums out there. But there's a lot of ego involved, and there's a very low level of perception there is the only problem. She's doing everything right. I mean, her mind blanks right out, and she does a 100% true connection. However, some of the time she tends to twist and tweak things to suit her own purpose, and she starts talking her own thing that the spirits have never said, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I found with Gina is there's no nonsense. This is something, a gift she was born with, a gift she's had all her life, and a gift she's been as a teenager just getting into all the books she could and reading up and learning as much. It's a craft that she has truly mastered. And there's no ego involved. She's one of the sweetest, kindest, most beautiful, and the most wise soul I've ever met.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad I've been able to learn from her. She's the only one that picked up on George and saw George. So as soon as she does that, I go into meditation and try communicating with him. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what I'm seeing out here for UFOs all of a sudden. Too cool.
Yeah. I would love to get her contact info along with any of the picture or video evidence of the UFOs you guys were seeing.
Yes. Gina has I will give you her on Messenger. I will shoot you her email and let you contact her. You bet.
Awesome.
And you just let her know. You let her know that Mike Simon gave you the information, gave you her info, and it's through me that you're contacting her.
Okay.
And that will put her right at ease, and she will open up to you.
Now, you said that when you died the second time, you seen your guardian angel, and then you said that.
Yes, and only one. Yes, and only
Only
one
one?
guardian angel, not 2 of them, but just one. That's why I always thought we only had one.
So I was wanting to know, what did she look like, and then you said something about.
She looked like a human form. She didn't look angelic. She just looked like a human form sitting beside me, except for the fact that she was a very bright white light. And if you turned, like, she was sitting on my right hand side, and I would look over at her and look at her face and was communicating. But basically, I was kept looking down at this large expanse that just was so out of place. You know, the big building. But when you look back, you'll see the wings. You'll see the wings on her back. You know, the angels are as human-like as we are, if you will, except that you'll see them as such a bright white light. You think you've been, if you're a welder, you think you've been flashed and you're going to be blinded. You really think that when this is over, you're just going to see one big bright white spot in front of you and you're screwed. But that's not the case. The archangels, bloody hell, they're giants. Oh my
Really?
God. Yeah, the archangels are all like 30 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
It's the first time at a 1-day class with one of the best psychic mediums. I got introduced to Archangel Michael, and all I could see was a whiteout. And
Wow.
she said, step back and look up. And in doing so, it was, oh my God. All of a sudden, the angels' wings are taking form, the shoulders are taking form, the head's taking form, when they're 30 feet tall. When I had that beautiful conversation with Jesus, afterwards, I would want to move energy. So somebody would come to me and needed some healing. And I would instantly pray for Jesus to come and the archangels to come. And so now I hear about Raphael and Gabriel, and my first name is Gabor, Hungarian for Gabriel. When I'm standing beside them, the angels on one side are the same size as me, but the archangels are just massive. They're bloody giants. They're huge. I don't know why that is. I do know that we used to have giants here on the earth, but those giants here on the earth were nasty buggers, and we had to get rid of them. Yeah, no, they were doing us more harm than good. Physically, they were killing us, and we have got some proof of it. We've been seeing there's somewhere in China, there's a wheelbarrow with a skull in it, the size of the wheelbarrow, but nobody believes it. It's just too hard to believe. Most of us just can't wrap our head around it, and it's honestly, that's bullshit. You know, you look at something or read something, it's like, yeah, I can't believe the crap people write, and yeah, no, I'm looking at those pictures, I'm going to pick that apart. There's something wrong, you know. But the truth of the matter is, they did come, they did exist, and there's proof of that in ancient scriptures.
What is the most scariest or evil creature or being that you've seen?
I was 15 years old. My girlfriend and I were out on a nice flat green plain in the woods, and we just finished making love. And we're sitting there cross-legged, facing each other, holding hands and talking. And to my left, I saw a football-shaped bright white mist with a little bit of a haze around it go around and behind me. I kind of thought that maybe from the highway further away, it was just a reflection of a headlight or something. I didn't think anything of it. And it came around in behind me, and it actually entered my body. When it entered my body, I got the coldest chill from head to toe, and I stopped right in the middle of whatever my conversation was. It just didn't feel right. And my girlfriend in front of me, her eyeballs popped out of her head. She got up and turned around and ran as fast as she could. Now, before she gets up and starts running, all of a sudden, I'm sitting on a level plane. I'm being pulled back away from her. I can remember sticking my hands into the grass, trying to stop myself from being dragged back. I got up and ran, came in behind Shelly, and Shelly, while we're running, she's turning around looking at me all terrified, and all of a sudden she stops and she looks at me. She says, "Oh my God, you're back. Oh, good." I said, "What the hell was that?" She said, "Well," she says, I'm talking to you one minute, I'm 15 years old. I'm talking to you one minute, all of a sudden you turned into the scariest, meanest looking old man I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
And so that nasty little entity was not nasty or evil at all. It's just screwing around. It's playing. It's just being, just joking. It's giving us a lesson. We went back to her foster parents. Now, her foster parents were very tapped in, and we did not know that. We explained what we had just seen and what had happened. He explained to us exactly what had really happened. Now, he played a little what I thought was a parlor trick. We were sitting in a kitchen nook. And at that kitchen nook is like a bench. On the bench is my pack of cigarettes. Up above it is a light bulb, but with a string hanging from it. You pull the string to turn the light on and off, okay?
Yeah.
He's sitting there with us. The three of us are sitting there. And he starts telling us about telekinesis, moving things with his eyes. And of course, at 15, this is far-fetched, but we're eager, and it's like, okay. So he's sliding my cigarette package around the table. Okay, I'm looking for what that he's blowing. He's doing something. I'm looking for the trick to this parlor trick. So he opens the package of cigarettes with his eyes, pulls the cigarette out of the package, and I'm still thinking, oh, this is a parlor trick. So he goes over and sits on the other side of the kitchen and away from the table. And he's still moving and sliding my cigarettes around. That's when I started to think, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
So he says, all of a sudden the string snaps and the light turns on. It's the middle of the day, right? And then the string snaps and he turns off the light. Then the very bottom of the string, he picks it up and he literally ties a knot with it. Thinking, wow, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah.
So at 15, he gives me a book on astral projection. Okay, so it took me 50 years practically to realize what he was doing. He was able to astrally, physically project himself. Sorry, not physically. He was able to project himself so that that other conscious, and normally that other conscious, you can't touch and move things. But he was able to do that. He had that strength, that power. Now, last summer, we had a heat wave here, and it was creeping up on 50 degrees Celsius, very hot. We're not used to that. It's very damp here, so that heat just kills us. Yeah. I'm sitting in the house. It's the air conditioning. I go out and do a couple little things, turn some wrenches on the old truck that I'm working on or something, and 20 minutes later, I got to come in. It's just way too hot out there, okay? And in a nice air-conditioned house and enjoy that. So I'm laying on my back, and I'm thinking, I'm going to do a little astral travel. Closed my eyes, and I floated up through the roof of the house. And as soon as I came out, I know it's like 50 degrees, but I didn't feel it. Okay, this is cool. I want to go. Had a real cool old 1952 Chevy pickup that I just finished doing some really beautiful woodwork in the box. I'll shoot you a picture of it. It's full of feathers and dimes and ancient coins, and it's just the most beautiful woodwork, right? Yeah. So I wanted to go look at this. So I'm up on the roof now, hovering about 10 feet off the roof. So instantly I'm thinking, okay, I want to go look at the truck. Well, instead of coming down at the front of the house, right there where the shop is and where the truck is, I come down at the side of the house, and I'm walking along the sidewalk to come around to it. My feet are on the ground and I'm walking. Okay. I come to the truck and I'm looking at the truck. My elbows are on the side of the truck as I lean in to look at the woodwork. And this woodwork it looks like there's a layer of water on it. It's just so beautiful. I'll send you pictures of it. It was like glass. So my elbow is able to lean on the side of the truck, but when I put my finger to touch the wood, to touch that beautiful shiny lacquer that I put on there, yeah, finger just goes right through it. So if I'm able to do that, lean against it and hold myself up, why can't I physically grab something and move it and actually do it?
Right. Yeah.
You can. You absolutely can. Darn tootin' you can. It takes a lot of practice though. Okay, so I'm at a point now where I don't need to meditate to do astral projection. I can just sit back and close my eyes and away I go. Not 100% of the time. I think diet and certain things and tiredness, there's a lot of things that play into this. But for the most part, just about any time I want, I can close my eyes and take off. So I think I'm probably getting to the point where I could I am. I'm at the point where now the next time I need to practice moving things around. Why? I don't want to, scare people. So I've not gone there yet. But this is basically, I think, what the step or the foster parents of my girlfriend was trying to tell me. That's how we did it. Was through astral projection. Now, astral projection is the only time I don't see that anymore, but at the beginning, that's the only time I saw the tunnel and the light at all. The 2 death experiences where I actually did physically die. And there was no tunnel, there was no light. I didn't experience that. When I read other people's death experiences, they did experience that. Yeah. Yeah, I can't explain that. A lot of times, when I read some of the near-death experiences, I'm in tune. I know when somebody's not being honest. But you know what? 90% of those near-death experiences are honest. Yeah. 10% of them aren't. A lot of hecklers out there. There's a few near-death experiences sites on Facebook. and I'd jump in there and try and help out. It didn't take long before I'd have to shut it off and jump out of there. I just couldn't take all the negativity and stupidness and foolishness. There's just too much stupidity and too much hate. You know, there's too many haters in there making all kinds of stupid remarks and hurting everybody else. And there's so many people out there that are so sensitive now.
Yeah.
Your height, once you've had an awakening, your sensitivity is 100-fold. If you're a sensitive man and you can cry sitting down watching a movie, that sensitivity, work on that, because that is what helps you to communicate with the other side. The more sensitive you are, the more you're going to see. The more sensitive you are, the more you're going to hear.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of these people say, the psychic mediums will say they're not getting words and sentences. They're getting all these little pictures and stuff that they have to decipher and figure out. Yeah, well, I think you need to work on your trade a little more, because I'm getting full sentences and full conversations, and the guy's face is right there in my face talking to me. Okay, I'm not getting all these little feather of this or a little bit of that, and when I see, like you see with Teresa Caputo, she says, "Oh, when I see roses, I know it's this," or when I see that, I know it's this. Well, these are all, it's all true, you know. But I think you still need to work a little bit more on your trade. It's a trade. You're learning a trade. You need to learn it and study it and work with other mediums and pick up on as many books as you are. There's universities in Cambridge. There's universities in the Netherlands and Finland, all over the place. They're specifically there to teach you mediumship, physical mediumship, as well as the psychic mediumship. Now, the physical mediumship, wow, that is so cool. However, unfortunately, there's been too many con artists out there that have been faking it, you know, with the raising of the tables and all. They're just faking it. There's too many fakes out there because it's an industry. It's their limited level of perception of them trying to make money, period. However, the odd one out there is really, really, really good. Now, through a feeling of total love and appreciation for anyone on the other side, I'll get a vision of them and I'll be able to sit down and have a conversation with them. I've sat down and talked with Princess Diana, John Lennon, Michael Jackson. I mean, the list goes on. But you have to feel the love and appreciation for that person.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there's a lot of, I was going to say silly little girls. Yeah, they are silly little girls out there playing their little witchcraft and trying to cast spells against, you know, each other. And you know what? Most of that doesn't work because of the simple fact that we are protected. We have a host of protection on the other side. You have no idea who's protecting you. Go ahead and try and cast a spell, and it's a mirror. It's going to bounce back and it's going to hurt you. Yeah. Unfortunately, right? It's just, yeah. I've had a lot of people come to me, not a lot, but a few people come to me looking to have evil spells revoked from them. And I look at them and I can tell, and I know immediately, no, you don't have any evil spells against you. You've been protected already. But yeah. I'll go ahead and I'll sit down with them and I'll move some healing energy, and then I'll sit down and communicate with them and bring them up to speed. Right? And you know, it's all in your head. It's 100% in your head. Nobody's cast a spell against you, but sometimes there's a stupid little girl out there that has tried to cast a spell against you. But the thing is, like I said, we're protected, we're guided, we're not here alone. And once again, we are all one. If God is the ocean, you and I are like little droplets of water within that ocean with the freedom to go and travel anywhere we want. Experience anything we want. Unfortunately, the full gambit means experiencing both sides of that sword. Life is a two-edged sword. And if you want to experience it fully, you've got to appreciate both sides. If you feel that the negative is bad, you got a problem. The negative is not bad. It's the other side of the sword, and you need to learn and experience it. You cannot really, truly appreciate sweet unless you've tasted the sour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You said that you've seen some of your past lives. Can you give us
a few of them? Oh, yeah. The first past life I saw, it would have been, wow, And I mean, way back. I can't say when. I have no idea how far back, but man, we're going back a long time. I'm going to say about close to 2,000 years. And I guess I was being accused of being a thief or something. And they had a catapult, which I was hooked to the catapult. And when they flung me, what they flung me into was these large, it was a massive structure in front of me that would probably stand about, say, 40 feet tall by 40 feet wide. And it was these big 12-inch beams that were crisscrossed. It was like a grid. And at each cross of that grid was a huge wooden spike. So I was catapulted into those spikes, and that was my death.
That is amazing.
And I'm asking my guide, when the hell am I seeing this? So for the first few times, quite a few times, the first few projections, seeing these past lives, I would see snippets of the life and how I died. One of the last times I actually got to see a past life, I was living by myself in the mountains. And I had, the first vision was of a tiger, a mother tiger that I can't remember how that tiger was killed, but she had left a kitten. And the kitten was an albino, it was white, a white tiger. So I took that white tiger in and cared for her. I lived in a cave up in the mountains. And I'd hunt, and I was wearing skins and furs. I had a bed full of massive skins and furs. I mean, that and a little fire pit off in the corner. That place was cozy, warm. That's where we lived. The next vision I'm giving, I'm standing outside on the edge and I'm hunting, and standing beside me is a full-grown, beautiful tiger, a white tiger. Okay, so now at the age of 19, my roommate and I rented a house up in the Souk Hills, and we're right on the last house before the forest. Okay, we'd moved in on a Saturday, did some unpacking and organizing Saturday and Sunday. Monday, my roommate gets up and goes to work. I've got 2 weeks vacation. Monday, I've got it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to clean that, put ticker and putts in a beautiful garden and fix up the backyard. This house was owned by an older couple who had passed away a year ago. And the house had been vacant due to probate, and it was finally repurchased and rented out. We were the first ones to live there in over a year. The porch, on the covered-in porch in the back, had an old horse blanket in the corner that was just covered in white hair. So I'd assumed that the previous owners had a Samoyed or something, you know. And so I go out to the backyard, and I'm going to throw away that blanket and tidy up and clean up the porch and go tinker and putts in the garden. I step out there, and it's like the neighbor's cat, a white, large, full-grown cat, as friendly and tame as could be, comes down through the bush and comes down to greet me. So I'm playing with the cat. It's like a normal house cat, and it's purring, and I'm petting it. It's like any other cat, right? And the cat was skinny, though. You know, he wasn't anywhere near as soft as a domestic cat, you know, but it didn't take me long to realize, holy cow, he's been sleeping. This is where he's been sleeping, on that blanket. That's his bed, because that's where he went and bedded down after a little ruckus and play with me. So that was it. I was big on fishing then, and I had a bunch of my own canned salmon. So I went and gave him a dish of canned salmon and a bowl of water, and went out and bought cat food. And he was always, every other day, he'd get some of my fish, and yeah, we were inseparable. He was a beautiful cat. But I noticed when I picked him up and tried to bring him into the house, he was absolutely terrified. I had to put him down because he took off. He didn't want to have anything to do with being inside the house.
Yeah.
Now, my roommate would come home, and that cat would take off. It would run. As soon as it saw anybody else, poof, it was gone. I didn't know why. I had no idea. So about 3 months into this cat is about the size of a German Shepherd now. I'm thinking to myself, fucking hell, why are you growing so big? I still didn't dawn on me that this was a cougar. It was white. It was all white with beautiful golden eyes. So my roommate comes home one night, and I'm on the back, sitting on the back deck, and he's, rubbing up against me and purring away, and I'm petting him, and all of a sudden he takes off. So I turned around and look in the window. Sure enough, Tim's home. Tim's staring out the window, eyeballs bugged out of him, and he comes out. Is that the white cat you're talking about? I says, yeah. I said, that's a freaking albino cougar, you idiot. Oh, are you kidding me? So I've got a specific whistle that I do every time I feed the cat. I do that every time I feed my cat today too, because if we ever get separated or the cat ever gets lost, I can go out and do that whistle, and he's going to know, oh, there's my meal ticket, and I've got him, right?
Yeah.
So the cat, I guess about a year later, it was a full-grown, beautiful little cougar, and he'd come down and spend a week or two with me, and then he'd take off for a week or two, right? Then come back and spend a week, and then take off for a week. So it was on one of his little walkabouts, I call it, that we had to move. And I used to go back there for months afterwards, whistling for him and calling him, and I never did see him again. And it was about 10 years later, about 50 kilometers away, I was at a girlfriend's place in the wintertime in the evening, and we had about an inch of snow on the ground, and there's that beautiful hush outside of that beautiful silence, the quietness, and a beautiful starlit night. Oh my, it was like daylight out there, right? And I used to be a heavy cigarette smoker. And I was out on her back deck having a cigarette. And about halfway through the cigarette, I coughed and spooked out this huge white albino cougar from underneath the deck.
Huh.
And as it started to slowly, ever so slowly run, it wasn't a full-blown take off, but it wasn't a walk. It was like almost a run. As it started to take off, I whistled that whistle. He stopped dead in his tracks and turned around, looked at me, and cocked his head. I knew right away, oh shit, that's Tommy. Jumped over the railing, down onto the ground, and come towards him. And I got within about 2 feet of him before I just wanted to hug him,
Yeah.
And I was in tears. Tommy, holy shit, I haven't seen you for years. Oh my God, look at the size of you. He was massive. His back was way up over my waist now. and then he just turned around, slowly took off, jumped over the fence, and was gone. I'd never seen him before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you continued to see him after that?
No, I've never seen him again.
So it was kind of like a goodbye then.
Yep, that was, yeah.
Wow. That's that's one hell of a story, man.
Yeah, that was cool. And
That is awesome.
the cats I've got, I had a cat as a kitten when I was 8 years old. Frisky. When you look at the eyes, and the cat that I've got now, it's the same cat. It's the same soul. And this cat here that I've got now, I see cougar in him so many times. Most people can't get anywhere near him. He's not feral, but he's to me, he's not feral in the least bit. He's the most loving, purring kitten. I'll show you pictures of him sleeping on my chest, all cuddled up. Head butts and purrs and everything's normal. But my daughter, he scares the shit out of my daughter. My daughter can't get anywhere near him. She's absolutely terrified of him. It's the same spirit, my friend.
Yeah.
It is. I'm sure of it. I can tell when I look at people's eyes. I used to be able to tell when I look at people's eyes if it was, but yeah, I don't know. I can't explain that. I'd look at the eyes and I could tell so much. Now, like there was a family. I used to think that our soul could energize only because I was told this from Marco. Marco said, our souls are energizing up to anywhere between 800 and 1,000 people here at any one given time. And I can remember asking for proof of this, and all of a sudden I'd be seeing people with my eyes, And Marco's looking at the picture of my daughter and myself, and he says, "That's your soul." Well, no, it's not. My soul is not energizing 800 people. I'm sorry. He's slightly mistaken there. What it is, it's our soul tribe. It's our family. I can tell my family of my soul tribe. Our eyes all look the same, and I can see other tribes, and how their eyes all look the same.
Yeah.
I know a few blue-eyed people that I used to think were all energized by the one same soul. They're not. It's their same soul tribe, right? You take a look at a picture of the Beatles. Okay, all together. Just look at the eyes. Don't look at anything else. Cover it up and look at the eyes, and you're going to see the exact same person each time. Right? So now, I don't see that anymore. Now, when I look at the eyes, I see myself every time because we are all one. Right?
Yeah.
I've just advanced more in my level of perception, just a higher vibration. That's all.
Well, Michael, you've answered most of my questions, and I gotta say, I really appreciate you for coming on and telling your stories.
Yeah, it's been cool.
So
There's a lot. There's so much that I've never ever been willing to share because I didn't want to spend my time in a mental hospital.
well, I'd love to bring you back on again so you can. I have just a few more questions I'd like to answer next time, since we're kind of running a little late today.
Yeah, we'll have to try and do this with the video going. That would be cool.
Yeah. Please definitely send me Gina's contact.
Yes, I will. Yeah,
I'd love
do
to
that right now.
maybe even have like a video call with us three in it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And if you could also send any type of video evidence or picture evidence that you were talking about towards the UFO, and also of your cab, your truck, and everything else that you mentioned.
Sure. She's got, I'll shoot you her all her info. And then if you go onto her Facebook page, you'll see the picture that she just posted the other day. She said, I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning feeling that somebody's watching me. She went to the window. She took a picture of that portal, what was in there. And it's going to blow your mind when you see. Yeah, there's thousands of them.
Wow. Yeah, I want to see. I want to check that out.
Yeah. Okay, I'll shoot you her info. Send her a friend request on Facebook too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael. And thank you guys for watching. It's been another episode of Real Supernatural Encounters. And I'll see you guys later. See you later, Michael.
Namaste. Thank you.